All right. Let's see. Okay. All right. So we're going to look at the difference today between policy designs when it comes to whole life insurance in terms of properly designed versus not properly designed policies. And give me 1 second while I pull this up. Getting an echo here. Okay. Share my screen. Guess we can go off of this one. All right. So let's just look at a couple different ones actually. I want to take a look at Foresters, and then I also would like to take a look at let's see here, Lafayette Life as well. So bear with me a second while I get logged in here because I was in a conversation with a gentleman last night on YouTube here who was very adamant about the fact that buy term, invest the difference was the only way to go. And while I'm not entirely opposed to that point of view, he it's certainly not the only way to go about accomplishing things. And actually in the example he gave, it honestly was not even the most efficient way to go about it. So um, I just want to prove a point because I feel like a lot of people don't understand the difference between a properly designed policy and one that is not properly designed. So well, let's do, I believe the example he gave was a 40-year-old male. Okay, standard non tobacco. Now, with foresters, you have to change their from non medical to medical. And there's several ways you can go about doing this, but one of the easiest ways really to go about doing it is to do a FPUA non-mec term rider solve if you don't care about death benefit. And you can put their minimum base of 50,000. Okay. And then at this point, it's whatever you want to put in on a either monthly or annually basis. So first, let's actually do a regularly designed one. And let's just go back here. And we're just going to do a regular old pay to 100 specified death benefit will solve for premium. Okay, so death benefit will make, I believe, 500,000 was the example the gentleman gave last night, and so that is going to should give us a specified premium base off. $420. Sometimes their illustration. Okay. So 420 get this 302. So what about 500? What's that get us? Not want to cooperate the other way. Not much. Okay, let's try it the other way now. There we go. Now it looks like it's working. Okay, so 500. And what in the God's name? How is this not? I do not know. Okay, so we're at 361. Oh, that's why. There's a term right here. I don't want any term insurance because we're doing just pure death benefit. So good on. Okay. What does 800 a month get us? Shouldn't be this difficult. You should just be able to punch in a death benefit and get a damn output. So okay, for about 423,000. Not gonna cooperate. Let's do medical. See if that makes a difference. Specified death benefit premium solved 500,000. Okay, there we go. So for $500,000 of coverage, that's for a 20 pay. Let's look at a full pay. All right, so $608. If you want $500,000 in pure whole life coverage through Foresters, you'd be looking at $608.74 a month, and that's for a $500,000 of death benefit. Okay, and that is no term insurance at all, none. All right, and so you're just straight $500,000 of whole life coverage, plain vanilla, regular, nothing fancy or sexy. So let's take a look at it here. Initial face amount 500,000, model premium 608,000. There's zero flexibility. You were required to make this $608.74 premium every single month, come hell or high water. No exceptions. And let's see. That looks about like your typical whole life. So you'll notice here, your first year you're putting in 7305. Your cash value is zero. Your second year, you're another 7305, and you're guaranteed still zero, but you're now that you've put 14, almost $15,000 in the thing, you finally have $913 of cash value, and your death benefit is growed a little bit, growed to 503. So let's fast forward 10 years. Okay, so at the 10-year mark, you have put in this 7305 every single year for 10 years now. So now you're 7350, 73,500 that you've put in. And your guaranteed cash value after $73,000 is, or closer to 75,000, is 50,000. And your non-guaranteed, which is a little more realistic, is going to be 63. So it's actually not terrible. Your death benefit's only 540. let's look at 20 years. Okay, so 20 years, 73, and you're at 180,000 in cash, and your death benefit's at 614. So after 20 years, you're 60. You paid 7305 every single year for 20 years, and let's see, that's 7305 times 20. That's $146,000 that you've put in. I didn't, and after 20 years, 129,000 is all that's guaranteed. And on the non-guaranteed side, 179. So you don't break even until, Lord, year probably 10 or 15. 7305 times 10 is 7350. So, yeah, not there. So let's try. It's one thing I don't like about Forrester's illustration. When we're on Lafayette, it just shows us all this. We don't have to do the math. So 109 after 15 years. Okay, finally broke even. So it must happen around year 13 then. 7305. Yep, it happens in year 13. Year 12 or 13. Okay, yep, it's in year 13. So you finally break even, meaning that you have now more cash available to you to use than you've paid into the policy after 13 years. Okay, so just keep in mind here. So remember, 10 years in, you've only 63,000, and your death benefit's at 540. 20 years in, all right, you're at 180, and your death benefit is at 614. So I just make a note of that. So at the 10-year mark, we were at 60, what is called, yeah, 63 and 540. And at the 20-year mark, we were at 180 and 614. All right. So let's take a look now. This first example, let's go back. And now let's look at the difference when set up in properly for infinite banking purposes. Okay. So the very first thing, I believe we're still on medical. We are. Come here. Now we're going to solve for the lowest amount of possible coverage, but 608 is our premium, so it's going to stay the exact same premium. Okay, so the premium is not going to change. We'll keep it at 608.74. All right, now let's go over here. And I personally like to add 20-year term riders myself. A few reasons for that, but so now you're going to notice, so 6292. So you're going to notice that your cost of insurance is much, much cheaper because you don't have nearly as much, right? So now your cost of insurance is $67 for your base and only $17 for the 136,000 of the term. So without doing anything else, and here's another thing worth noting as well, is that your payment that you make of the 608, out of that $608 that you're making every single month, 524 of that is going towards your PUA, your paid up additions rider, which is what goes towards increasing your death benefit and your cash value. So, and that's what the whole point is with infinite banking, is you want the biggest possible, you're trying to reduce friction, so you have the biggest possible percentage of each and every dollar that you put into that policy go into your PUAs to build up that high early cash value. So let's take a look and see how much different the outcome is here. So you'll notice right off the bat, we're still at 7,305, but now look at cash value year one is at 6,046 available of the 7,300 that you paid in. So you paid in 7,300 and you have a little over 6,000 that you can use year one, just like that. Death benefits, you'll notice a lot lower at 210. The guaranteed though is pretty much identical in the first couple years. So with this one, you're going to go and let's look at year 10. So year 10, we have 80,000 in cash value versus 63, and our death benefit is at 412,000. So it hasn't quite caught up, but we go out here to year 20. All right. So with the last one at year 20, we were 180,000. With this one, we are at 200,000. Not a huge difference. Our death benefit is 609. So you can see that there's not, with this particular policy, because Foresters has high guarantees and their performance isn't really the greatest, you can notice that there's not a giant difference, but other than the early cash values where you're really going to see the difference. So with this one, it's interesting because it's the same exact monthly payment with both policies, but with the traditionally designed one, you have zero cash in the first few years. You'll notice your death benefit kicks right up and you're at $500,000 by what, year 15? And so it's the same premium with, and what's crazy is it's a $50,000 base, but if you look at year 21, by the time that term rider falls off, you still have $500,000 in death benefit. So it gets up to 609 and then it falls off. So you go to 492, but then the very next year, you're right back up over 500 and you're only 62. So, and this is permanent. I mean, by the time you are, say, 75, you're guaranteed to have over almost 600,000, 580,000 at 75 years old. That's guaranteed death benefit. Guaranteed cash is 375, and non-guaranteed, you're at 484 cash value and 746 with a death benefit. And that's one thing about Foresters. If you're somebody who really values guarantees, they have excellent guarantees, very strong. You'll notice when we look at Lafayette here that their guarantees are not nearly as strong, but their performance, which is what's a lot more realistic, more likely to happen, is much better in most cases, depending on what you're trying to do. So let's see. I think it's interesting seeing the differences in outcomes. So let's start new case. Sample client, age 40. Oops. Male. I'm in Ohio. Whole life. And we'll use the Patriot. All right, now it's super simple here. And I'm just going to show you the properly designed policy here. All right, so we're not going to touch anything here. We're just going to go to the next page. And we're going to solve annual. And we're going to do a base PUA blend. Our total premium is going to be the same, 608. And we're going to have a 10% base with a 90% LPUA. We're going to avoid the MEC. Again, I personally like to add a 20-year term I mean, hell, 430 even really. And that's it. We're going to go ahead right here. There's a ton more you could do to it, but just for the sake of this quick, short video here, I'm just going to go ahead and view illustration right here, and won't mess with any of the other stuff. I just want to prove the point that there's more than one way to skin a cat. All right. So I messed up severely. Okay. Well, what did I do? Oh, that's what I did. I did the 608 for the annual premium. What was the annual? 797. Let's try that again. Sorry about that. All right. Go ahead and do illustration. Today. So one of the things that's interesting to me is how you can make these little adjustments and they can have such big impacts on the overall outcome. And again, one thing to keep in mind too is that number one, this isn't financial advice. Number two, these policies, these illustrations are not meant to be a predictor of a future outcome. They are purely, and if you read through the illustration paperwork, it'll tell you this, but they are purely for educational purposes, only to help explain the concept of how the policy functions and works and how it gets credited. That is it. It is not even making an attempt or trying to predict a future outcome. That is not the point whatsoever. It is just to show you scenarios of what could happen, and so you can see the functionality of how it works and how the policy functions as a whole. Okay, so here we go. So first year, 7640 in, and you'll notice 6380 in net cash value, or yeah, net cash value. First year. Okay, pretty good. Death benefits only 138. Lafayette has a lot lower their minimum death benefit. You'll notice up here is 25,000. So, okay, so let's look at year 10 at 760. Cash value is 85,000. So that's $20,000 more after 10 years. Death benefits at 275. Now, if you jump out to year 20, their cash value is at 219 versus 180, $40,000 difference, and their death benefit is at 453. That term rider falls off. It goes to 363. But you'll notice that this cash, and here's one thing worth pointing out too, is that you break even in this policy, I believe in year 5, 7640. Yes. So in year 5, okay. But now look at this. This is what I love about whole life insurance is you're paying $7,640 every year into the policy at 40 years old. Okay. But look right here, increase in net cash value. So what if you had a machine that every time you put, say, $1 in, it gave you $2 or $3 back? How many dollars would you want to put into that machine? You put starting in year 4, but let's just look at year 5. You put 7640 in, and the cash value increases by 8273, over almost $1,000 by more than you put in. So year 6, 7640, cash value increases by $1,000 more than you even put in. And you'll notice that this spread just keeps getting bigger and bigger. By the time you get down here to year 20, you're put $7,640 in. Your cash value increases by double what you put into it. That's pretty amazing. 7640 in, and it grows by, and now here's what's really amazing. Look at year 21, $1,253 in. Increase in net cash value is 10,557. I'm not sure why Lafayette's illustrations does this. I need to get an explanation for that. Because I put a 20-year term rider on here, but should still be a full pay. But anyways, I just wanted to show the difference. And a lot of people like to say that you don't get your cash, they keep your cash basically when you die, but that's not necessarily true, because if you'll notice here, see your death benefits getting greater every single year. So, and it's increasing by as much or more than the cash value. So that's already kind of factored in. So it's not a very valid argument. But anyways, that's all. I just wanted to show the difference between the different policy designs and the different outcomes that you could have when designing these policies for maximum high early cash value. Again, remember, it's important to know that you should always work with your agent or financial advisor. Nothing I said here today was financial advice, purely for educational and entertainment purposes only. And it's, at the end of the day, it's all about what you want, you gaining ultimate clarity, knowing what the end goal is, reverse engineering that, and then making sure that you and your money are in alignment with your values and beliefs. And at the end of the day, that's what's really important and what really matters. And how are you able to show up each and every day in your life as a person, as an individual, and have an impact on the world and provide value to the society that you live in. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you learned something. Comment, like, subscribe, tell me I sucked. Doesn't matter, whatever. But would love to hear some feedback. Tell me what you thought. If I could have done what I could have done better, what I maybe did well. If you learned something, if you had a question, whatever it may be. So I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me. Again, my name is Derek Passalacqua. Have a good day. And now the long awkward pause while I try to get the hell off of here.